Hello YouTube. This is my second video about UFOs of the Soviet Arctic areas. I want to start by speaking about UFOs in Kolyma. This is a harsh, remote and severe piece of Arctic and subarctic territory with undefined borders, and it's located in the farthest northeast corner of Siberia. Kolyma is bounded by the Eastern Siberian Sea and the Arctic Ocean in the north and the Sea of Okhotsk to the south. And those who have watched my videos knows the significance of the Sea of Okhotsk and the UFOs and USOs that frequent that area. Now, Kolyma, extremely remote region, gets its name from the Kolyma River and mountain range, part of which were not discovered until 1926. Later, the Soviet regime built very many concentration camps in the Kolyma region. That there was even a song, that secret song of the Soviet political and other prisoners about that area. Very sad. Kolyma River is a river of northeast Russia, rising in the Kolyma mountains and flowing over 2,000 kilometers north and northeast to the East Siberian Sea. The Kolyma Road was built by Stalin's Gulag prisoners that had been exiled to die in this frozen wilderness. It is called the Road of Bones because bones of perished political prisoners are found there. But I want to talk about a very unusual and unauthorized investigation. Pyotr Pavlov headed the operational section of the KGB of the Yakutsk Autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic from the late 1950s to the early 1960s. Numerous UFO reports were made during that period, and they were sent to the KGB. No guidelines regarding secrecy pertaining to such reports were ever sent to the local KGB from Moscow, which is my assertion, which I'm trying to underline, that the KGB was reluctantly involved in the UFO research because their main purpose with regard of those who come to the skies of Russia without invitation was to guard the state facilities, secret facilities and plants. Also, informants would send their reports to the KGB because they had nowhere else to send it. However, local Chekisti, this is the terms referred to the KGB operatives, would ask the population in the area of Kolyma where Pavlov was stationed, they wanted to ask to get the reports sent to them. Apparently, so many reports came to Pavlov that he instructed Captain Nesterov to collect and classify such UFO reports. The town of Chersky is located at the mouth of the Kolyma River. One summer, when the sun did not set beyond the horizon, 5 or 7 flying saucers hovered over the town at a great altitude, and they were inaccessible for the Soviet interceptor jets. The saucers were lined up in a straight line. They departed in the same fashion as one line. And then one day, the KGB received a report about UFO landing behind the polar circle on the shores of Lena River. Captain Nesterov was dispatched to the area. He questioned 5 or 6 people, local inhabitants, who had seen the object. They said that an unknown object was with glowing portholes noiselessly landed on the snow. The snow cover turned reddish for a few moments. After a brief stay, the object flashed red lights, actual red flashes several times, ascended noiselessly and disappeared. The local KGB had notified Ministry of Defense USSR. Soon thereafter, a group of senior officers arrived in the area and went to the site of the landing, where they met with the witnesses. And Here is a fascinating detail I want to share with you, which illuminates extremely complicated nature of Soviet UFO phenomenon history. The local KGB, headed by Pyotr Pavlov, had compiled a report based on all UFO sightings in the area. They added photographs of one object, a rhomboid-shaped UFO, and the photos were made in 1960. And this was from the Tixi settlement. And one set of the documents was sent to the Presidium of the Academy of Sciences USSR. The other set was sent to the popular Soviet magazine called Ogonyok. 2 or 3 weeks later, major Soviet newspapers, Pravda, Izvestia, Komsomolskaya Pravda, and so forth, published articles authored by notable scientists, debunking reports of UFOs over the Soviet Union. One article even rebuked the KGB of Yakutsk Autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic for sending the UFO photos to them. This is what the population was dealing with. You had somebody who decided to investigate UFOs, and he was part of the KGB. He clearly did not have to do it. He could have been engaged in his investigations, suppression of dissent, and alcohol orgies. Instead, Pyotr Pavlov wanted to find out about the unknown, and he was basically told to shut up. Now, there is another interesting feature about the Tixi settlement that dates back to 1960. Pavlov recalled that in the winter of that year, he was shown 2 photographs with the same object on each one. The structure was an Arctic meteorological station, photographed at night. The pictures were taken one after another, seconds later. The photographs clearly show a rhomboid object moving low over the horizon. The photographer did not see any such objects as he was taking during the time he was taking the pictures. Kolyma had been visited by UFOs even earlier, in 1950. Valentin Ivanovich Akuratov, senior navigator of the Soviet Arctic Air Force, wrote 4 reports to the Ministry of Civil Aviation regarding his encounters with UFOs. He addressed those reports to Loginov, then Minister of Civil Aviation. One such report mentioned the 1950 incident when the crew of his aircraft had observed a disc-shaped UFO that appeared over the Nizhny Kresty settlement on Kolyma. Later, it was renamed to Chersky settlement. Chersky is a settlement and the administrative center of the Nizhny-Kolymsky district of the Sakha Republic, or Yakutia, Russia, located on the Kolyma River, about 2,000 kilometers east of Yakutsk. Here's what's interesting. The UFO hovered in the southern area of the sky over the horizon for 3 days and resembled the moon, but it was smaller in size. The disk showed up around 15:30 hours local time daily. It was observed by the settlement's population and generated most interest among Soviet pilots. When the report about this case was received in Moscow, an order came back to approach the objects as closely as possible and to study it. The Catalina aircraft that they had was able to reach the altitude of 7,000 meters, and the crew noticed that the disk, upon their approach, did not change its size, and its movements from east to west were very slow. Its color was pearly, with pulsating edges. The object had no antenna or brackets. At 17:30 hours daily, the object would depart to the west, sharply gaining altitude until it would disappear from view. At the end of the 3rd day, the disk disappeared and never came back. The pilots had an extensive correspondence about this incident with the main directorate of the Northern Sea Route, also known as Glav Sem Morput. The correspondence and related materials, according to Akuratov, are kept in the Central State Archive of the Navy of the Soviet Union and, of course, today's Russia. The importance of the area was largely due to the Zelyony Mыс harbor. It served the entire Northern Sea route and before the 1990s was the largest Soviet Arctic seaport. It was the sea gateway for Yakutia and Chukotska's Bilibinsk area and gained military strategic prominence for the nation's entire northeastern territory. Do you understand that now that the Arctic area is being built up and the Russian army is setting up new posts in the area? All this is going to play importance again, and the UFOs are being observed over the area. Control over Arctic weather meant control over the weather in the Atlantic Ocean. It was the main battlefield of the Cold War, where long-range aircraft carriers and submarines of the USSR faced off their NATO adversaries. One of the reasons speculated for UFO visits may be the fact that the Arctic Russia has a huge potential for the extraction of minerals. The Arctic contains a wealth of petroleum and mineral resources. The region produces about 1/10 of the world's oil and 1/4 of its natural gas. Arctic Russia is the source for around 80% of this oil and virtually all of the natural gas. There are plentiful deposits of nickel, gold, copper, coal, uranium, tungsten, and diamonds. And UFOs, like some other beings, are very much attracted to diamonds, only to the industrial variety of diamonds. And here I want to tell you about the Poppy astroblem. It comes from the Greek word astron and blema, which means star wound. Over 35 million years ago, in the late Eocene epoch, the asteroid of about 7 kilometers in diameter smashed into our planet. The asteroid, spherical in shape, pierced the atmosphere and crashed into the northern end of the Asian continent on the shores of the Laptev Sea. The explosion was so great as to shake the earth, and earthquakes followed all over the planet. The impact caused dynamic pressures and high temperatures, 2000 degrees Celsius, shock compression and melting, displacement and ejection of materials. Rocks were crushed into dust, and gas and new rock formations were created. In 1946, Soviet geologists Kazhevin discovered a gigantic crater in the Poppy River basin of Siberia. The Poppy crater, 100 meters in diameter, was presumed to have been volcanic in origin, but the Soviet geologist Viktor Masaitis had proved that it is an ancient impact crater. The well-preserved Poppy impact structure, it was the hole created in the crust of Siberia by the asteroid, is located on the northeastern slope of the Anabar Shield in northern Siberia, above the Arctic Circle, northeast of the most northern and close to foreigners secretive Russian city of Norilsk. It's about 4 hours by helicopter. The only way for scientists to reach it from Khatanga, the village of Khatanga, which I told you about in the first video, and the UFOs that come there. Now, the rapidly flowing Poppy River, right-hand tributary of the Khatanga River, runs all the way through the crater. The astroblem, star wound, is located in the estuary of the Rasocha in the Poppy River. Monotonous tundra changes to swamps, lakes, hills, and cliffs. Nomads and domesticated reindeer meander through the precious crater with about 400 humans and 6,000 animals living there. Here's what Soviet geologist Viktor Masaitis and his colleagues discovered in the 1970s. a gigantic diamond field in one of the remotest territories of the nation, in the Popigai Basin. Again, it's located on the border of Yakutia Republic and the Krasnoyarsk region of Russia, on the shores of the Laptev Sea. This diamond field is located under the ancient asteroid crater. The two main deposits are Udarny and Skalny. The field contains trillions of carats, and until the year of 2012, the presence of the diamonds in the Popigai crater was considered to be a state secret. One of the reasons for secrecy was the ongoing full-scale Soviet production of synthetic diamonds. Although Western reporters believe virtually all scientific data related to it was classified in Russia, it wasn't really so. Geology students did know of the presence of the impact diamonds. For example, there was a geology textbook titled "Сверхтвердые материалы," and in which the impact diamonds were described. It was published in Kiev in 1980. But nobody really knew about the super hardness of the diamonds. A secret Soviet research determined that the Popigai diamonds were quite different from the conventional kimberlite diamonds. And so you have it. This is where the UFOs allegedly had been seen, but it's kind of hushed up. Nobody really knows all the details, but there are reports from the area from the past years. This is one of the most interesting places in the Arctic, but Arctic hides many more secrets. And I already discussed USOs that had been seen in the area. And I'll tell you more in the future videos. And as we know, the conflict over the Arctic is just getting heated up between Russia, NATO, and other countries. And China is into it too. So there'll definitely be more interesting news from the Arctic areas. Thank you.